I did a video the other day where in the thumbnail of the video on the bottom, I wrote Gigbars are goofy. And I didn't really get into the video as to why I felt that way. So I thought maybe I'd do a video on that subject. And before I get into this video, I want you to know something. If you like a Gigbar and you like using it and you own it, I'm not hating on you. You and I can still be friends. Please continue to use it. There's a lot of arguments for the Gigbar that I've heard in the last 48 hours, because a lot of people have been telling me about their Gigbars. One is that they're relatively inexpensive. A nice, inexpensive light show for somebody who doesn't want premium lighting. Just bring those and done. Another thing is that they're easy to set up. It's a tripod, and you run power to it. Sometimes you run a foot pedal to it. And that's a good argument. I like easy. I'm a disabled guy. I don't want to make anything any harder than I have to. Another argument, which I think is a fantastic argument, is that they're easy to control. Yeah, I like easy to control because I too hate DMX. Like a whole bunch. Don't like it at all. But here, I've got this light on behind me for a reason. This is actually an ADJ Boombox FX2. It was kind of ADJ's answer to something like a Gigbar, where it was all in one fixture. You just put on a tripod and it just did what it did. And right now the power's on. Now, every time somebody shows me a video of the Gigbar, they show it to me from the DJ's perspective. So it basically looks more like this. Hey, look at that great light shining on the clients and on the wall and those cool dots that are going off right now. What they're not showing you is what the clients are seeing, which is essentially this. It's bright lights in their face. Just because it looks great from the DJ's point of view doesn't mean that it looks great from the audience's point of view. Now, I've thought about the Gigbar. You know what it is. I've looked at pictures of them. Usually it's a jewel light or two jewel lights, or maybe two heads. Sometimes another effect lights on there. And there's usually two power fixtures that are shining out at the audience. And you aim them kind of however you want to. This is aimed, I don't know, almost straight at the camera, not quite. You can aim it up or down or whatever, and that's going to help this effect that I'm showing you here a little bit. But I will say this about the jewel effect. The jewel effect was really cool when we had an atmosphere, so you can see beams going through the air. But now it's just simply putting dots on the wall. And if you have a jewel effect that is up on a bar like that and it's shining out, you're putting dots all over the room. And you might think that's fantastic. Personally, I feel like that what I like to do is keep my lighting focused on the dance floor. So if the lighting's happening everywhere else, there's no focal point. I like focal point for lighting. That's just me. It's a personal thing. Again, if you feel differently about this, we can still be friends. This is not a hate thing for you. I'm not telling you you're wrong or you're stupid or anything else. I've personally just found that there are better ways to make things not only easy, but to create effects that I think work really well for the audience. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. It's really dark in my backyard right now. Apologize for that. These are battery powered par cans or par fixtures. They could be quad, they could be tri, they could be hex, anything par. These are ape, but don't get hung up on the ape. It doesn't have to be ape. Though some of you are like, well, I don't want to get ape. That's okay. Pretend they're both lighting that Rick Webb has, okay? They're just pars, all right? This is kind of what it's going to look like on a Gigbar. Set these up here very carefully. They don't fall. Show you what that looks like from the audience's perspective. That's essentially what they're looking at. Bright lights shining right in their face. Now, yeah, okay, fine. You can adjust them down or up or whatever. But essentially, they're still looking at the light source itself. It's within their field of view, no matter where you shoot them, when they're up on a stick, unless you're shooting them behind you. Now, let's take those same two parts and take them off of the top of the fence here. And I'm just going to put them on the ground like this, shining up on the fence. Now, this is a red fence, so this isn't going to look fantastic, but just to give you an idea of what you could do with two par fixtures that are not on a stick. They can reflect on the wall behind you. Now, believe it or not, if you've got a white wall or a light colored wall, what ends up happening is this light reflects back onto your dance floor. So let's have a look at that from the DJ's perspective. So I've turned the camera completely around, right? And I'm standing right here and you can see me. Why? Because I'm getting washed with light. Now, if there were walls around me, they would be getting washed with lights too. And I'm achieving all that without having diodes pointed directly in anyone's face. Now, for comparison's sake, let's bring the camera back here, my phone on a tripod in this case, and let's put those lights back up on top of the fence. Here's one. Please don't fall. And two. Please don't fall. Now, I think we've already established this isn't beautiful from the audience's perspective. From the DJ's perspective, however, it looks really cool. Lighting up the whole backyard, right? But they're right in my face. That's painful. But let's try them on something different. Not a red fence. Let's try them on something that's maybe, I don't know, the side of the house. Same two pars on the side of the house. Right? Now, let me show you something. Let's go to the DJ's perspective on this. Let's look around, okay? We've got wash everywhere. So we're looking out. And I know it's a little hard to see, but there is wash all over the yard. There's definitely wash on me. Have a look. Okay? I am still getting washed from the light reflecting off of the house onto me. Oh yeah, and it's not painful. Imagine if there was a white ceiling involved. So not only do you have lights reflecting off the wall around you, but you have it reflecting off the white ceiling because the beam's hitting the ceiling when you place your lights like this. You've got a great wash. And it's something interesting for the audience to look at. They're seeing color on the walls, which they're really not seeing when you're just doing that, Gigbar style bar shooting out at the audience kind of thing. And I know that a lot of people just don't like ape. Maybe it's on general principle. They think they're expensive or whatever. Don't worry about ape. Use something else. You could use any inexpensive Chinese 3-diode, tri-quad, or hex fixture to achieve this. It's just kind of a matter of control. I mentioned both lighting there. Rick Webb does. It looks like ape, it doesn't act like ape because the control isn't there, but I mean, it's shining light. If you can deal with the lack of control, use those. These, by the way, people talk about how expensive they are, and that's very true, but what are you looking at for a Gigbar, like $550? I think you can step into a pair of these and a remote for them for about the same price, really. You've got the control and you've got the fixtures. You got two pars just like you'd have on a Gigbar. No, you don't have a jewel light. There's ways to use jewel lights that are a little cooler than putting them on a stick if you insist on using jewel lights. But I think when you've got a good wash, all that other stuff like moving heads and jewels don't really matter as much anymore because you're creating the ambience that you need to create in the room. The jewels are cool in the regard that it puts color on walls, right? But you're already putting color on walls, washing walls with pars. This is one guy's opinion, folks. It's mine. You don't have to share it. And we're still friends if you still love your Gigbar. If you've bought a Gigbar and it's working for you, that's cool. But I'm just explaining to you what my point of view is here. This is why I feel the way I feel. The control issue, hey, this is all 9DMX remote. You can do some amazing stuff with this on an ape, for instance. And there's other ways you can control lights. You can put them in like a master-slave configuration, plug your lights to the walls. You could do that for probably under $100 to tri-LED 3 diode pars, and a DMX cable and master slave on sound active. They're doing the same thing. Or don't. Just let them randomly do things, which is kind of what the Gigbar does anyway without the foot pedal, right? I don't know. It's just another option. And the Gigbars are so popular, people grab them because they think they're so easy. But what's easier than to take this light, press the power button, just here, one-handed, and setting it on the floor? That's easier than setting up a tripod and setting up a T-bar and running cables. So that's debunked with my argument. Price point debunked, easy debunked, no DMX. Yeah, all of those things you can achieve 100% without using a Gigbar if you want to. But use a Gigbar if you want to. It's totally cool if you do. I'm going to turn this video off. I've talked enough. Got myself in enough trouble. Thanks for watching. And remember, anything that I ever post on my channel here like this, where I'm talking about this kind of stuff, again, just keep in mind that I'm not hating on you. This is just my opinion, and I'm just sharing what I know. I'm not the expert. I don't even play one here on YouTube or in real life. Just a guy, and this is the kind of stuff that I've made some observations on. That's it. So, please, we're still friends. Practice and enjoy.